call our meeting to order, our special meeting. What we have, first thing we have to do, I need a motion, a second for the draft minutes from June 6th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next, we're going to have discussion on the Wick Hotel, 41 Cross Street. Mike, let's start.
Good morning. As you'll recall, 7 years ago, the 41 Cross Hospitality LLC came before the IDA with their project to renovate the old candle wick factory down at the waterfront. Initially, the city IDA asked the county IDA to do this project, as they hadn't done a project in over 10 years. At that time, the county IDA said to the city IDA they would agree to do that, provided that the city IDA provide the terms of the pilot agreement, so that the county IDA would not be in the position of appearing to setting tax payments for the city. In return, the county IDA agreed to split 50-50 the fee on the financing. The city IDA passed a resolution requesting that the county IDA do the deal and provided the terms of the pilot, which were incorporated into the financing documents. We've had a recent request from both 41 Cross Hospitality and a new entity that is interested in purchasing the WIC and is looking for the IDA to provide an assignment agreement with respect to the financing documents, which includes the 4 years remaining on the pilot agreement. Joe, could you give a brief overview of what the documents provide and what the agency's ability to act here is?
Happy to do so, Michael. Under the IDA straight lease documents that we entered into at that time, the company at that time, the prior company, was required to undertake the project, complete the project, and operate the project. And they have obviously done so. There's been discussions between them and the new entity and for the acquisition of the project, including the IDA transaction by the new company. In our papers that we prepared for you on your behalf at the original time of the closing, we did provide for an assignment and a conveyance of those documents, but we provided that ability only upon review and consent by the IDA after review and due diligence by the IDA of the new entity coming in. Hence, the application being submitted by Mr. Selman's group with respect to the assignment of this matter to his new entity. So in order to put you in a position to consider that assignment, the new company has prepared an application outlining who they are, what they intend to do, and their background in order to give you and your staff enough information so that you can consider the request, and if the request is acceptable, to then move forward. Under the resolution that we have prepared on at Michael's request in connection with this, what happens by the adoption of this resolution is that the IDA consents to the assignment and assumption of the IDA documents to the new entity. And what happens then is that the new entity in effect steps into the shoes of the existing company with respect to rights, obligations, and other matters relating to the existing project. So the project, based on the application, is unchanged. There's a new owner, but the operation is essentially kept the same, and the obligations of the company, the new company, with respect to the project, pick up. And there's in effect, we call it, by way of a metaphor, internal in our office, there's a baton pass from the old company to the new company with respect to the existing project. And with that, I'll pass it back to you, Michael, for any further explanation. And obviously, if any of the board members have any questions, I'm more than happy to address them.
Yes, Joe, hi, Rick Rector. Could you please clarify to the organization here exactly what your association is with this project?
I'm sorry. Joe is the special counsel to the IDA on financing. He's with Hodgson Russ and all that.
Yep, and I apologize. I should have done that at the onset. My name is Joe Scott. I'm a partner in the Albany office of Hodgson Russ. We're special counsel to the county IDA. We worked with the county IDA and Mike Tucker on a number of matters, and we were the special counsel on the original transaction. So I'm a lawyer, and I'm a lawyer acting on your behalf with respect to this matter.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and I apologize for not starting off with that.
No problem. Thank you.
At this point, then, I'd like to have Jeremy introduce himself and his partners who are on the call with him.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Selman. I'm a principal in HN Capital Partners. And, myself, along with my partners, Gabriel Cash and Sean Rowland, are under contract to acquire the Wick Hotel, which is a 55-room hotel at 41 Cross Street in Hudson, effectively across from the train station. We are acquiring the property from the original developer, Tom Rossi, Redburn Development, and intend to acquire the hotel, continue to operate it, as well as make some significant capital investment in the property. That capital investment is still being determined, hence it's not the subject of any application before you today. We're also involved in another project in Hudson, which is known as the Pocketbook Factory. That's a project that Sean and Gabriel have really shepherded from its inception, and we are in the process of joining that partnership as well. I personally have a 20-year history in what we call the lifestyle or boutique hotel space. I've worked across the country as well as in Europe. I'm a New York native. I was born in Manhattan. I was raised in Westchester. I've spent 45 of 46 years living in New York State. So I have a personal investment in seeing New York continue to thrive, and in all parts of the state, and continue to be very excited about our activities in Hudson and Columbia County. Also on the Zoom is Phil Borelli, who is counsel to our partnership, as opposed to Joe, who is counsel to you. Phil is working on our behalf and is just making sure that he understands the nature of any approval or lack of approval, so that we can incorporate it into our acquisition process.
The benefit of stepping into the shoes of the current owner under the IDA financing documents allows the developer to continue the pilot payments for the next 4 years, as well as receive a mortgage recording tax exemption not to exceed $97,500, which we will amend in the resolution. I think it says not to exceed 9999, but that seemed to me to be a little gamesy.
Thank you, Mike.
Just one question, Jeremy. So basically it's turnkey. You're going to be going right in, running the hotel. You mentioned capital investment down the road. Is that the addition type work? Just curious.
As of now, we're not contemplating adding to the area of the building. But the hotel was completed about 7 years ago. The typical life cycle for a lot of hotel improvements within the industry is 7 to 10 years. Obviously, the pandemic has, interrupted some of those life cycle conversations. In addition, the hotel currently benefits from its affiliation with Marriott's, excuse me, tribute collection. That's something that we're actually obligated to continue. And as part of that relationship, there will be a requirement to also invest some additional capital into the building, just making everything feel current and fresh, and really just continuing to support the investment in the property in the market. But it's not intended to expand the footprint of the building in any way.
Outside of Hudson, where I know you're involved in the other project, which I believe the city already authorized an IDA tax, are there other hotels you're involved with?
There are quite a few, none currently in New York State.
Texas?
Texas, California. That's our current holdings.
Approximately how many hotel businesses is this organization involved with?
There are, outside of the 2 in Hudson, there are 6 operating hotels, and 1 additional one under development. Yes, that's correct. And I've personally been involved in, I think, close to 30 hotels. Most of those I conceived of and built. And all in what I would call all the ones prior to joining HN were very much sort of integrated into neighborhoods. That was a big part of our approach, was to find largely historic buildings. Some of them were existing hotels, some of them were not existing hotels, and really integrate those hotels into the day-to-day living experiences of the places where we open them. So while they were obviously the room's customers were transient guests, not locals, we always designed the restaurants and the experiences within the hotel to embrace the local communities. And that's something we would intend to continue to do in Hudson, both at the Wick and at Pocketbook.
Yeah, I have two questions. One's about the mortgage recording tax.
Yep.
Is usually done with the transfer?
Joe?
Sorry, I didn't quite follow that question. Would you mind repeating it?
Is the mortgage recording tax usually associated with an assumption and assignment of the underlying financing document?
It depends on the particular IDA. We represent approximately 25, 27 IDAs throughout the state, and they take varying positions on granting additional exemptions following the original closing. The reason why it's less than $100,000 is that there is some time pressure here, and we didn't want to go through the process of holding a public hearing, which is required if the amount of the benefit is in excess of $100,000. But the short answer is that it really depends on the particular IDA. Legally, you are entitled to do this. They did ask for it. There's documentation in the application regarding it, and it's fully outlined in the resolution. So you have a good, adequate paper trail with respect to your consideration of that request.
All right, thank you. My other question is about the number of employees, and I know they're supposed to report annually, but I have not seen those documents, which I'd like to see. But I wonder how many employees are there now? And there's something there about the employee training and drawing from the local pool. And I wonder if you're going to combine with the pocketbook factory on that, or what's, I guess it's a two-part question. How many employees are there and the training going forward?
So our understanding, because we're not currently the owner, is that there are 10 full-time and 21 part-time employees at the property. The second part of your question, I can more definitively answer, which is, whether obligated to or not, our intention both at the WIC and at Pocketbook is to continue to support local both job force training and employment. Sean can speak a lot better to the job force training programs that we are in the process of setting up and partnering on at Pocketbook. But we said, unless there was a specific objection, we don't see any reason not to try and combine that benefit to what we hope is the community and also to the properties to have well-trained, local workforce. And I think we're lucky to be in Hudson because there's an opportunity in a pool of people that would be recipients of that training and hopefully be willing to join us.
Yeah, and I can speak a little bit, at least on the Pocketbook side, what we going through the IDA process, what we learned and heard from, the community, both residents and other local businesses, was that there's definitely a need for a more formalized, hospitality focused workforce development program. And so the commitment we made for Pocketbook was to one, connect with all kind of other partners who are either thinking about or already working on programs, including the City of Hudson IDA, and other like nonprofit or other agencies within the city and in Columbia County, also educational organizations like BOCES, Columbia Green Community College, the Spark of Hudson, which is a 501c3 nonprofit based in Hudson that's currently developing a workforce training program. And so our commitment to the IDA on the Pocketbook side was to connect with all those folks, develop our own training program at Pocketbook Factory in order to support the requirements that we are subject to for Pocketbook for workforce development and training, and then to kind of do a collaborative kind of open source the curriculum that we would have at Pocketbook and see who else wants to work on it with us, or how we can combine efforts to really create the kind of most robust program we can. So we're in the process of developing that. We're still about a year out from opening at Pocketbook, but those conversations have been really productive so far.
So if they assume the obligations under the current financing documents, they would be subject to the agreed upon job creation and club acts. Is that correct?
Yes, and what we could do, obviously subject, Michael, to your, to staff review and then discussion with Jeremy and his team, is update that document to include the information that Sean relayed here and Jeremy relayed with respect to any of evolution, if you will, or improvement, for lack of a better word, with respect to the job training and job issues. But you're absolutely right. They step into the shoes, and those obligations become their obligations once the assignment and assumption document is executed. Just to give the board members perhaps more detail than they may want with respect to the structure of the assignment issue, because this is an issue that we've given a significant amount of thought, our firm. And in connection with the assignment and assumption, what we do is we make clear that upon the baton pass to the new entity takes on all those obligations and is also on the hook for any outstanding obligations of the prior company. So if there are any issues on this transaction, and we're not aware of any, and I know that Mike and his staff are reviewing the file with respect to the existing transaction, you're not going to have to chase the old company. The old company, once they sell the property and assign the IDA documents over to the new company, are not going to be very responsive to any inquiries or any reach out by us or the IDA. But we take care of that problem by making those problems, candidly, Jeremy's problems. And Jeremy understands that. We've had those discussions with him, and he's working out, and those issues will be worked out between him and the prior company. So what our role here, again, is to protect you, the IDA, and we make sure that everything is being done in compliance with law and in compliance with the documents upon the assignment and assumption.
I did ask Jessica, actually she offered by text to pull the 2022 job report, and she'll just give you a brief update. Jessica Gabriel from our staff.
Morning. So as Joe Scott mentioned, the obligations of the current owner, it's outlined in all the agreements that they have to report to the IDA on an annual basis. So what I did was I pulled the 2020 annual report. What they're required to report is the sales tax exemptions that they used during that year. They also have to report their employment throughout the year and the insurance, and making sure that they're upholding the insurance requirements. So here's the kind of, you asked that question, Sarah. So you can see related to the jobs that the current owner in 2022 had a total of 27 employees. 19 were full-time and 8 were part-time. So they did report in compliance with what the original agreements were. They're actually above and beyond with those agreements.
Sorry, may I ask a question, Jessica?
This is from 2022.
This is 20.
Yes, this is the 2022 annual report of the owner, 41 Hospitality, or 41 Cross Street Hospitality, that entity. I don't know if anyone else wants to.
And we have the reports for 21 and 22.
Yep, they do report that every year. And that actually is required because then the county IDA has to submit to the state the activities of all the projects.
What were the minimums? 11 full.
Full-time. In the original agreement, it's 11. I don't remember how many part-time. So last year they had 19 and now it's down to 11.
As of December 2022, they had 18 full-time and was it 8 part-time?
And actually in the second year, there was a ramp up. They were required to have 8 full-time, 3 full-time equivalents for part-time, and 2 full-time equivalents for seasonal. So the reports that we've received shows that they've had exceeded those requirements in the original agreement.
So following off what Joe Scott said, that if this transfer happens, the new company would be responsible for maintaining all of those job commitments going forward through the end of the term.
And again, it's 8 full-time, 3 full-time equivalents, and 2 full-time equivalents on a seasonal basis, which is below what I think Jeremy indicated their plan is.
Yeah, I would anticipate exceeding those on a combined basis materially.
That answers your question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. We have nothing else to report, Mr. Chairman, so I'll turn it back to you for a vote.
So I'm going to wax philosophically for a quick second.
Sure.
If you all would indulge me. Pilot is a very big deal, in my opinion, when a county or a city determines that a business or an entity needs something to bring to a big benefit to the community. 7 years ago, I was very involved when the Redbird organization came forward and wanted to with the WIC. At that point, they received, I believe, $1 million from the historic to get the building up and going. In addition to, they were the pioneers in a very needed section of the city of Hudson. And I looked at that then, and I look at it now, you know, it's hopefully they would be the catalyst for a major change. Very much like your organization's doing for the Pocketbook Factory. You're taking a major risk, in my opinion, and I applaud you, I thank you, and I thank you for coming into the city and to the county and having a big belief in it. The WIC evidently has proven itself over the past 7 years to be able to run a business, to have a successful business, and a business that's now marketable to someone like, you know, people like yourself that are in this business and see it as a good investment. So as far as the pilot, is there a need for an extension of a pilot for this successful or an ongoing business? Is my big question. And need is a big question for me always. I think it's already proven itself. Yeah, we needed that hotel. They made the investment, they took the risk, and they did it, and they did it successfully. That's it.
Okay. Well, thanks, Rick. As you all know, Rick was mayor when the WIC was done, and he was involved.
He was on the committee.
I was on the council
back
and
then.
had economic development.
Yep.
The interesting thing with this particular project is that the city IDA's approval of the pilot back-ended the pilot. In other words, they gave a 50%. Normally, we take the pilot and it's 50%, and it goes back up to 100% over 10 years. City here gave the WIC 20% the first year and 120% the last year. So it does balance out. I think the benefit of the pilot is certainly the certainty of knowing what your taxes will be for the next 4 years as you get into the business.
And this is an educational thing for me. I assumed a pilot given into an entity kind of transferred along with the sale of the entity. Is the sale of this based upon receiving the continuation of the pilot?
Yes, the assumption was that the pilot would continue.
And if I may interject again, as your counsel, we put that consent in the document to protect you so that you have control over the pilot agreement on a going forward basis. Because we're very sensitive to the issue that you've raised in your discussion about, you know, why a pilot is granted and why a pilot may not be granted. And we want to make sure that the IDA maintains control, and that's why that consent provision is in the document, and that's why Michael has gone through the extra step. Michael and his staff have gone through the steps of getting an application from the new company to make sure that things proceed and continue. And it's the process that we recommend all of our IDA clients to follow, and it's something accordingly that we do with the other 20, 25, 27, I've lost track, pardon me, other IDA clients that we represent throughout the state, this process.
We also raised this issue at the city IDA meeting last week, and they felt that the county IDA should continue to oversee this project through the end of the first 10 years. And if there was any requests going forward after 2027, when the current financing ends, that we would give that back to the city.
Is the county overseeing the pocketbook idea pilot?
No, the
City,
city,
it's in the city is administering this.
our office and the city treasurer's office. I think.
So they're just paying you as a consultant for that.
Yes, just like you pay us.
Yeah.
The other issue here was the city IDA in the original deal did receive 50% of what this IDA receives as a fee, and that will continue as well. So, you know, the city, we didn't do this without consulting with the city IDA.
May I respond to the philosophical question a little bit. Um,
I don't think there was a question.
This John Rowland to represent the partner in the Pocketbook Factory and also the group that's looking to purchase the WIC.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's an important question and to ask, and I think as Jeremy mentioned, you know, our purchase did contemplate the transfer of the tax agreement, and I'm sure as you know, most folks on the call know, one of the reasons that's so important is just because Hudson has you know, really high taxes just generally. And this really allows us to plan for continued improvements and capital improvements and, you know, to really put in a robust operation and management to the property. And while Hudson is certainly not in the same position it was when this pilot was granted, you know, I think there's still a tremendous amount of potential development on the waterfront that can benefit all residents and citizens. And I think us as the new owners of this property really helps position all of the activity and growth that is still to come at the waterfront with a really experienced operations team that is looking to support further growth of the tax base and further employment beyond what you're even seeing now at the WIC. So while, you know, Hudson's definitely in a more robust position in terms of economic development, I guess I would characterize it as still there's lots of potential still to be realized, and that we would be, you know, really great partners with the city and the county moving forward to do that. So I think that kind of speaks to why, you know, it's important to us and why I think it's still valid that it would be transferred.
Okay, any other questions? If not, Andy, you got the resolution here?
Yeah, it's ready to hack it.
That's not, I can see it, that's what.
Resolution was sent to everyone as part of the.
I didn't see it.
Oh,
you did?
I didn't see it. It wasn't
No.
on my side.
Okay, hold on just 1 second. Whereas the Columbia County IDA is authorized and empowered under Chapter 1030 of the 1969 laws of New York, as amended, to promote, develop, encourage, and assist in the acquiring, constructing, reconstructing, improving, maintaining, equipping, and furnishing of commercial manufacturing and industrial facilities, among others, for the purpose of promoting, attracting, and developing economically sound commerce and industry to advance job opportunities, health, general prosperity, and economic welfare of the people of the state of New York, to improve their prosperity and standard of living. The whereases indicate that the agency is authorized and empowered under the Act. It recites that on May 10th, 2017, the agency closed with 41 Cross Hospitality LLC. And whereas with the execution and delivery of the documents on May 1st, 2017, the company provided granted the agency a license to enter into the property in the event of default. A bill of sales conveyed to the agency the right title and interest in the property. A certain tax agreement pilot was part of the package. A certain recapture agreement by and between the company and the agency regarding the recovery of sales tax and use tax in the event of a default. And that and in order to finance a portion of the property, a mortgage recording tax was provided. Now, on or about September 2023, pursuant to an application submitted to the agency by H.N. MacArthur, 41 Cross Owner LLC, a limited liability company, the agency has been requested to consent to the assignment of the original documents assignment by the original company of the project facility and its interest in the basic documents to and in connection with such conveyance provide the assignment for the basic documents to the company. Whereas the lease agreement provides that the original company is prohibited from selling, leasing, or transferring without the prior consent of the agency. Therefore, whereas in connection with the conveyance, company has requested the agency to execute documents providing for the assignment and assumption by the new company. Whereas in connection with the assignment and assumption, the company will be obtaining additional financing in an amount approximately $7.8 million to serve the new loan and new company. And they would like the agency to enter into a mortgage assignment, rent security agreement, fixture filing, and provide the new company with a mortgage recording tax exemption in an amount not to exceed $97,500. And does indicate that we will have to apply with seeker. Then it's now therefore be it resolved. I'm sorry, it includes the fact that we have addressed seeker. We've reviewed the application and the staff has made a determination as to whether the execution of delivery are subject to seeker. And it appears that the request is the request contained in the application is an action, is not an action under seeker. Those are the whereases. Now therefore be it resolved that based on the examination of the application, we make the following determination. Pursuant to seeker, the approval of the application is not an action under seeker and therefore not subject to review. That since compliance by the agency with the approval of the application will not result in providing more than $100,000 in financial assistance to the new company, the act does not require a public hearing. Section 2, the agency hereby approves the assignment and assumption by the new company of all original documents, not limited to the benefits of the payment in lieu of tax agreement. It's the assumption by the new company of all obligations under the basic documents pursuant to the assignment and assumption, subject in each case, however, to the following. A receipt confirmation that all real property taxes and payments in lieu of taxes have been satisfied, evidence of a current certificate of insurance acceptable to the agency, receipt of confirmation from the agency counsel that no modification provided any new tax relief except for the additional financial assistance as requested. Number 4, receipt by special counsel of the written consent of the lender or any other holder of the current mortgage with respect to the conveyance and assignment documents or evidence that there is no security document filed relating to the project, compliance with the terms and conditions contained in the assignment and assumption agreement, approval by counsel to the agency of the documents, receipt by the agency of its administrative fee relating to the request, reviewed by the chairperson, agency counsel, and special counsel, and that all fees and expenses incurred by the agency with respect to the request must have been paid. And discusses how the chairman on approval of the resolution will affix the seal of the organization, and that the officers and employees of the agency are authorized and directed to do all acts and things required to implement the resolution.
Okay,
All right.
I really need, I need to see that in writing. I can't.
Print it out.
And could we go into the executive session to discuss this?
basis for executive session?
There are only 8 reasons to go into
Yeah.
executive session.
We have to have.
It's contract.
To,
Joe?
Sorry, I'm a little
Well,
slow on the
it's-
mute button.
Creditworthiness and contract.
Yeah, Andy is absolutely correct. There are limited reasons to be able to go into executive session. One would be to review the personal financial history and background of the project applicant.
Do that. If you want to do it for that purpose.
all right. I make a motion to go to executive session to review
Creditworthiness. of the
creditworthiness.
We'll text the 4 principals back when you can come back on.
We have a motion. We need a
I
second.
got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is everybody,
All right. Well, their attorney isn't there, but I think we can go forward.
you're all set? Okay. All right, we're gonna call our meeting, IDA meeting, special meeting back into session. And what we need, we have the resolution. Everybody's heard the resolution, what it is. So I'm gonna call for a vote. All those in favor?
We need a motion.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So passed.
Do we need a roll call vote?
You do, okay,
Carmen Kira,
yes.
Dr. Lucia,
Yes.
Bill Gerlach,
Yes.
Brian Taylor is absent, Nina Finger is absent, Sarah Sterling,
Yes.
Rick Rector,
Yes.
it passed.
Congratulations, we're all set.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, IDA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for coming. and,
We'll schedule the ribbon cutting when? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Roxanne.
Is there any public comments at this time? If not, motion? So moved. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.